Hello and good evening. Welcome back to another session of our Squiffy Sling. If you've been with us from the beginning, I'm very happy that you're still here with us, and that you must be having a really lovely time. And just a quick recap of what we've done already. Number one, we're making the Squiffy Sling. I'm making the small one, but I'm sure that there'll be lots of other people making the bigger one. So for me, it's a small. So we've cut out the pattern, which is a very odd one, but we've managed to sort of piece it all together, get the pattern all sorted out. We've cut out our outer fabric, our lining fabric. We've interfaced them. We've added the foam to the back of the outer lining, and we've added pockets, a zipper pocket and a slip pocket to the lining as well. And we've also sort of sewed up the sides and the bottom of the lining. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do the straps, and we're going to start on the outer. So that's what we're going to focus on today. But before we start, it occurred to me yesterday while I was just thinking of things that with the way I've done everything so far, there was no way for me to turn the bag right side out once it's done. So I had to go back to check, and I found out that the zipper pocket, the bottom of it should have been left open, because that's where we're going to sort of turn the bag right side out. So if you've done the same thing as me and you haven't rushed ahead, and done every single thing, if you're at the same level that I am right now, just grab your lining fabric, because we're more or less done with that. And my ever so faithful seam ripper, and that flap, that one, not the pocket that's flapping, because the other one is a slip pocket, but the zipper one, it will be the only one that has sort of like, flapping just there at the back. And we're going to undo part of the bottom there, so that when the bag is done, we'll be able to sort of turn it. So we're just quickly going to do that before we move on to the straps. So please grab your seam ripper and let's do that quickly. Now, if I was doing this and I realized I had made a mistake, most likely I would not have realized it at this stage. I would have finished the whole thing before it occurred to me that, ew, you haven't left a turning space. And I would still have sort of ripped a hole somewhere just to turn the bag. But because I remembered, it's a good thing that we can actually do that right now. Everybody has different ways of unpicking. But what I do is, on the same side, I unpick a few stitches. I unpick a few stitches apart, the length I want to, and then I turn it to the other side and I just take the whole thing off. I'll show you what I mean very soon, once I can get that. Okay, so then I turn to this side. And I just pull apart and snip off any excess thread. Okay, and it might be a good idea to sort of backstitch where the sewing stops, so that when we're turning it round, everything just doesn't unravel. But so what I mean is there and there. So I've made a little gaping hole there. So there and there, if you want, you could just backstitch and backstitch so that it holds when we need to turn it. And that's the only alteration we need to do today. So swiftly moving on. And we'll be coming back to the overlay as well. And swiftly moving on, we're going to start working on the straps as well now. So yep. And on day one, I did say that we needed to sort of transpose the straps in such a way that right side's facing across, one goes to the left and one comes straight down. Quarter of an inch, make sure it overlaps by about a quarter of an inch. Draw a straight line down the middle, and then we're going to sew right down that straight line. I haven't drawn my straight line. I'll do that right now. I can always eyeball where it's meant to go, but I just enjoy drawing the line because then I don't have to think about what I'm doing, and I just whiz through every single time I need to sew. So I'm just going to chain piece this too, and then interface them. Now, if you're using faux leather, then one of the pieces is going to be faux and the other one is going to be fabric. So you only need to work on the fabric side. I'm using fabric for both of mine, and that's why I'm interfacing both of them. But if you're using faux leather and fabric, just make sure that you're only interfacing the fabric side, and yeah, and joining together the fabric side as well, because most likely you will have a strap that's long. You would have cut out your strap on the faux to be the length that you want. So just a quick sew. And separate them. Now to press and interface. So all I'm going to do is press the seams now and then snip off all the excess. And I just normally snip off at a quarter of an inch. Where's my rotary cutter? And then I press open the seam. Because I've cut out 2 lengths of fabric, it's going to be longer than the amount of the strap I need, but that's fine. I'll just trim it down to the size I need once I've interfaced it all. Okay, and then interfacing, just down. So like I said before, if you're using faux leather, remember you're only interfacing the fabric piece, not the faux leather piece, unless you're using vinyl and it's a bit stretchy, then yes, go ahead and interface as well. Or if it's really good and it's not too stretchy, then you don't really need to interface it. And almost done. So if your interfacing is not long enough or you've had to cut them into tiny pieces, just make sure that as you're ironing them on, you're just abutting the next one onto the next one. So feel free to do a nice patchwork with your interfacing if you need to. Okay. And my trusty. So the length of strapping that we need is already mentioned in the pattern. And if you're using webbing, it even makes it a lot easier because then you don't have to worry about all of this. And then once you've cut out the length for your for the strap, from whatever is left, you need to cut out what we need, the fabric bit for the tab as well, the strap tab, because we need, if you're using faux leather, you would already have cut out the faux leather on day one. And if you're using the fabric bit now, whatever's left of the rest of the fabric, so once you've cut out whatever you need for the strap, whatever's left, just cut out the one fabric you need to join to the faux leather. And if you're using two fabrics like I am using, then just cut out the length you need for the tab, for the strap connector. So I'm just going to, although I've already cut one out, I'm just going to cut two out of this one, then I don't have to interface the other one I've done. So that's the strap, and that's the strap connector. And we're going to start off by working with the strap connector. So it's the same process if you're using leather or if you're using regular fabric. So what we do first is fold the fabric in half. So that's your lengthwise. So that's your fabric connector, strap connector. Fold it in half lengthwise. Open it up and then fold the edges into the middle. And because we still have the iron up, I'll just press that into place. Normally I don't put them together, and that works. But because we've still got the iron set up, it's fine. And then we do the same thing for the other piece of fabric too. And like I said, if I'm going too fast, please let me know. Just stop me or slow me down. So you should have two pieces like that. Now, if you're using the faux leather, you can use the double-sided tape. Run the double-sided tape right down one side of it, and then sort of fold it over right down the middle, and sort of fold it over onto it so that it actually stays. And then, because with fabric it's a lot easier, you can easily manipulate fabric, but when you're using leather or vinyl or some stuff, sometimes it's a bit awful to hold it down. So if you've got double-sided tape, you can just run it down the middle and then fold the edges right into the middle just to really make it. And if you've used the double-sided, you might want to draw a line right down the middle so you can actually see where the edges meet in the middle. With this one, well, I've not had to. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to have to repeat this whole process. But actually, if we're going to repeat it for the straps, we might as well do it now. And all we're doing with this is just folding it in half and folding it again. So feel free to press as you go, because it does hold it down and it makes it a lot easier to work with when it's all nicely pressed down. So if your iron is still nice and hot, I always sort of like switch up my iron. I don't know why, but so all we're just doing is folding to the middle. I'm doing an extra fold just so I can hold it in place, but we're not going to need that extra fold once it's all done. Okay. And that should take care of that. Okay, getting there slowly but surely. So that's one done, and then we go on to the next one. Same process, fold to the middle, and then open up, and then fold the sides in again. Oh, okay. I've just been told that some of the viewers are confused about the strap width. Funny enough, I can't see any comments here, which is strange. I don't know why I cannot see anybody's comments. Okay, but I'll just quickly go through the straps. Now, the pattern says to have a 1-inch tri-glide and a 1-inch rectangular ring for the straps. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm putting together the straps. And the way we do the straps is you cut out the length that's specified in the pattern for both the large and the small. I believe it's the same amount of fabric that we need. So yes, it is. Because you're using faux leather, and I just read Alison Disney's comments that on the pattern it does have it says the faux leather is a certain size and the fabric is a certain size. So yes, the faux leather is slightly larger, and the fabric is about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the size you cut out for the faux leather. But apart from that, it's the same process, folding it in half, both of them, and then you're going to sort of superimpose them together and sew down the sides. Um, they're good. Somebody else asked, yeah, Alison is still asking about the size of when by the time you finish them, they will end up as 1 inch, not anything smaller than that. So we're going based on the size of the faux leather, which is 2 inches, and then by the time you fold it all in, it's going to end up as 1 inch. The fabric being slightly smaller than it by 1/4 of an inch when you fold it in is just so that once you've sewn it together, the leather you have sort of like the leather showing on the sides when you're looking at it from the fabric side, and that's what it shows on the pattern there. You can see that the leather shows slightly on the edges there, whilst the fabric is right in the middle. And that's the effect. But and if you're using the faux leather and the fabric, that's what you're going to get. But if you're using two pieces of fabric like I am, then it doesn't really make much of a difference. And another thing is, if you're using webbing, it's not going to make much of a difference either, because you're just going to cut out 2 inches by whatever length you want, and then well, actually, yeah, 2 inches by whatever length you want. And actually, no, for the webbing, you just cut out the 1 inch you need, because you're going to be using a 1 inch webbing anyway. So you just cut out the length you need for the webbing and you just put it all together. But if you're using fabric, you're using vinyl, or you're using faux leather and vinyl, cut them 2 inches by the length you want. Then the fabric bit of it, 1/3 by the length you want. Fold them up the same way, half, open them up, fold them all into themselves. And you don't do the final, because normally when we make straps, I'll just show you with this one. It's not all glued up together because it's smaller. So that's the bit of strap we're working with. So you fold it in half, crease it down the middle, open it up, fold one side to the middle, fold one side to the middle, and that's it. We're not doing the most times when we make straps, we have to do a final sort of like fold. We're not doing that on this one. We're just going to leave it this way. And then we're going to superimpose them together, one over the other, and then we're going to sew down the edges. I hope that makes sense. I don't know why my comments are not showing. So Lizzie's trying to copy them all over to me. And let me see comments. Hmm. It's just so weird. I can't see any comments. I can see that there are comments all there written there, but they're just blank lines for me. And yeah, it says 41 comments, but I cannot see them unless I can see them on this one. Um, okay, I can see comments on this one, so I'll try and answer some of them on this one. I'll just scroll through. Okay, Alison is fine now. Alison Wise, if you want part of the fabric, if you're using two pieces of fabric and you just want part of it to show, then yes, you can make one smaller. But if you're not bothered about that, then just make both of them the same size and do the folds. So my fabric is 2 inch wide on all of them, on all the pieces. So the two tabs and the two fabric pieces, they're all the same. And I'll just do is fold them and superimpose them and then just sew down because I'm not too worried about having the extra bit showing on the side. Yes. Alison Wise, yes, you can see a bit of the full fabric on the sides when you've sewn the fabric on. And yes, Alison, it's both the strap and the connector. Both, all of them, I've just made them all the same size because all I want to end up with is just a 1 inch width of strap or connector because my hardware is all just one inch anyway. And Alison Disney, yes, the woven interfacing is fine as well because I'm using woven interfacing for this. It's G700. I have the G700 there, so yes, it's suitable for that. I hope I've answered everybody. If not, just keep popping them in and I'll keep checking because I think my phone is working better than my laptop for whatever reason. But at least you can all hear me today and it's not all gone funny like it did the very first day. So, and while we're at it and I'm still doing this boring part, the winner of the giveaway is Leo Ramos, and he just happened to be the one that was picked out. I didn't do the picking, somebody else did, and I was notified of it. So Leo will be getting, congratulations, Leo, and you'll be getting 10 different fabrics, 1 meter in length from me. And I'll contact you later to sort out, like, all the details and everything. And those that are in the US, and if you feel that you were left out, and Leo did say he was willing to pay for the shipping. And I think that was why we did ask him before we announced it. So Oh, thank you, Alison. Leah doesn't live in the UK. And I have a feeling it might come into you if you give me Leah's address in the UK. Okay, and both of them are done. 1, 2, 1, 2. That would be great, Leo. It's just that I can't promise the same thing if I come to the US because the US is so massive, and depending on where I'm staying, I can't really promise anybody a visit. So, like I said, so you now have your two pieces folded in half, opened up, and the halves folded in, and we stop there. So it's going to be something like that. Now we're going to take both pieces with the side without the so with the smooth sides, so that's the sides without the folds facing each other. So the folds are both facing outwards on both sides. We're going to sew the edge, the short edge, with the scant 1/8 of an inch. You can either use a 1/8 or you can use a quarter, but I'm using 1/8 of an inch. And then once that has been done, we're now going to turn it right side out. Make sure that they're nice and matching all the way. And then we're going to sew right down the long, well, the long edge, the top stitch, just right down long, short, and then the other end. And the other end we can leave open because it's going to be sewn into the bag, the side of the bag. So still with 1/8 of an inch top stitch length if you want, because it's going to be sort of like a feature anyway. So I would always use a top stitch length stitch to do that. And the tab is done, and you can see this is what we're trying to get to. And don't forget to snip off all those funny excess threads that hang when we sew. So that's what it's. So on one side, if you're using faux leather and fabric, on one side you're going to have the faux leather, and on the other side you're going to have the fabric. And like I said, if it was faux leather and fabric, the faux leather would be peeping out slightly at the sides. And even if it doesn't, because of the bulk of the leather, it might not, but chances are that it might. So that's the tab for that. And then we're going to do the same thing for the straps. And because I've already cut this to size, it's fine. You don't really need to cut it. But if you didn't cut it to size when we started, once it's all been sewn together, you can then cut it to size. So same thing, the smooth sides, the ones without all the folds in, make sure you put them together, facing each other. So the ones, the folds, the parts that have the folds, they should be facing, well, one away from you and one towards you. And then we're going to stitch over the top again. And once that has been done, we turn it right sides, well, folded sides together, now touching, and then we're going to do that nice long sew all the way down. Once we get this out of the way, then when we get to the place where the instruction says do the straps, it's already done, more or less. So still not showing. Strange. I know, Alison, technology can be, as in I've refreshed the screen, I've done closed every other thing down. All today is just decided it doesn't want to show me comments. I can see that there are comments on there, 67 comments, but it just doesn't show me anything. And because we're already live, if I try to refresh it, it's going to keep everybody out. So I'll just leave it and work off of my phone. And I can't even blame my son for this one because he's not yet back from school. So I know he's not using the internet or anything. I'm just doing this to hold both pieces together so that when I start sewing it, it's easier. And nice top stitching again, and off we go. And when my head starts moving, that means I'm singing while I'm sewing. I do that when I do long strips like this. So hi, Alison. Well, I feel my machine is not quiet because Alison is saying my machine is quiet, but I think it's quite loud. Maybe it's just me. Ah, Trudy, you are late. I can see. You shouldn't have said anything. And when I get to tricky bits, I always use a tweezer to move things along. So, but please be careful when you use a tweezer because I've broken a few needles just not paying enough attention. Okay, so that's the long strap done, as well as you can see, two-sided. And it should, and I've done it exactly the same way as the pattern states, because I could have done it another way and just gotten my 1 inch, but I just wanted to make sure that we still sort of kept the pattern as closely as possible. Not 100%, but so that is done. And then we're now going to start adding the hardware to our bits and pieces. Now, if your machine is not strong enough, or it's not going to go through sort of like thick, thick pieces of fabric, you might want to use what do you call it, rivets, to sort of put on the hardware. My machine should be fine, and because it's all fabric, most like, well, it's going to be fine. So if you're using faux leather, or you're using vinyl, and you feel that it's not going to go through, once you've added the ring to it, decide which part you want to be your the outer, as in what part of the strap you want to be on the outer, what part you want to be on the inside. Now, that's my outer fabric, this one here, the one with all the colors. And so I just want the lining fabric to be inside. So I've placed my rectangular rings in such a way that once everything is all done, it's going to be, the outer would be on the outer and the lining will be on the inside. So make sure once you've put your strap connector through the rectangular ring, pull it out at least about an inch thereabouts, and let's see, roughly about, yeah, okay, it says 3/4 of an inch, but between, yeah, so 3/4 of an inch then, and that is roughly, okay, so that's 3/4 of an inch for me. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew right across there. Now, if you feel it's going to be too bulky, please just use a rivet and just hold it to do that, because you really don't want your machine to just go all crazy all of a sudden. Mine does that sometimes, and it can be very frustrating. So I'll just do that quickly. And it might still complain. It does whatever it likes whenever it feels like, and I shall help it along. Oh, it's behaving. Okay, so I've stitched that down now, and it's nice and secure. So my rectangular ring is already attached, and it's not going to fall off now. Um, so we've already done step 30. If you're doing the small one, it's step 30, which says to do the strap exactly like we did the strap connector. So now we're going to add the hardware to the tri-glide. Stay there. The tri-glide, that's the rectangular ring with sort of thingy in the middle. We're going to add that to our we're going to add that to the long strap now. So same principle. Decide which one you want to be on the outer, which one you want to be on the inner. Your tri-glide, pass your strap through over the top and over to the other side. So you have like a buckle. So it looks as if you've just threaded through, a buckle. So that's the wrong side, and that's the side I want to be on the outer. So you pull that through about an inch, as opposed to the other one that was 3/4. This one is actually 1 inch. So we shall measure that. Okay. And then we're going to stitch again just to secure it right across. And like I said, if you're using bulky fabric, please feel free to sort of like rivet it in place. This is one of the reasons why I always use fabric for the sew logs. Then at least I know I can control what's happening. If I have to use faux leather and anything, it's like, then I'll be nervous. My nervous rate will be up there. Now it's still somewhere down here. And I always make sure I backstitch on these as well. So remember, it's the handle, it's going to be used frequently. So please backstitch when you start and when you finish. And then the other side of it is going to be threaded into. So that's the one side that's got the rectangular, the tri-glide on it. So we take the other end with the sewn side facing upwards. So the wrong side of the fabric, the side we don't want to be on the main outer side. For me, that's this one. Facing up, we go all the way to the end. We pick up our strap connector with the part we don't want. For the strap connector, make sure the part you want to be on the inner is facing down. And for the strap itself, the part you want to be facing inwards is facing upwards. So it's going to be like that. And it goes that way. And the way I always check is to, no, wait. Sorry, it's the other way. 2 ticks while I work this out. Yeah, that's right. And that's right. Oh yeah, it goes over. And then it goes in. Don't worry, I'll come back and explain it. And it goes over. Okay, so it's exactly what I said. The part you don't want, the part you want on the inner is facing upwards. For the main strap itself, that's a really long one. And the part you want on the inner is facing downwards on the strap connector. You take the end of your strap and you thread it in through the strap connector from the bottom up. So when the side you don't want to be on the outside, facing downwards, that's now trying to run away from me. So insert it that way, and it comes all the way, pull it all the way back to the tri-glide. So the two wrong ends, the two inner pieces, the pieces I want to be on the inner, both of them should be facing as it goes right back into the tri-glide. So that's the tri-glide. You put it into the tri-glide and it goes over the top of the tri-glide and comes out at the other end. And then you pull it into place. So when you're done, I'll move it closer so that you can see what I mean. So when you're done, that's the right side, that's the right side, that's the wrong side, that's the other side of it, and that's the other side of it. So the side that's sewn with the little bits hanging out will be on the inside, and on this side it's sandwiched in between the other bit of the strap that was pulled back and put into the tri-glide on the other side. So you should have the two right sides of the tri-glide and the triangle facing on the same side of your fabric, and then the other side should look something like that. Hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, please let me know. Okay, where are we? Yes, Alison Wise. Riveted seams means no sewing. And it is a lot easier, honestly, to just stick a rivet. I've got the rivet press down there, but I just am not in the mood to go pick it up or anything. And because I'm using fabric, like I said, it's so easy to just sew through it. So it's up to you what you want to do. But if I was using faux leather, real leather, or vinyl, I would definitely be riveting it in place. Alison Wise, you need to try rivets. The first time I tried it, honestly, I've never looked back since then. Every single time I have to make wallets and things, I always go for my rivets. I don't even think about it. It's like I rivet every single thing in place. So, so that's our strap done, nicely done. Um, so we're going to place that to one side until we've done the outer fabric. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take our contrast, which would be the overlay, which is that lovely piece there that looks like wings, bat wings. Um, First things first, we need to sort of, that's if you decide you want to use the overlay. You can make the bag without the overlay because you've everything has already been done, everything has already been cut out. The overlay is just going to it's just going to be placed over the outer piece, and it's just like a contrast to it. So it's not like the outer piece is short or anything. It's the full pattern for the outer piece, and we're just going to put the overlay over it just to give it that nice contrast as well. So if you do decide you want to use the overlay, great. If you don't want to, you can still make the bag without the overlay. So the first thing we need to do is we need to draw a 1 inch line right down the top there. So from this edge to that edge, we need to follow the contours of the pattern and draw a 1 inch line. So my trusty pencil, as usual, and my 1 inch ruler. Hmm, okay. I'm looking at it and thinking 1 inch. That's a bit plenty, but there's a reason for everything. Okay. So that's the 1 inch. I hope you can see my 1 inch that I've already drawn there. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold the top, we're going to fold that edge to meet the 1 inch line. So we're going to be folding it down so it meets the 1 inch line. If you've got double-sided tape, please use it. It's really, really going to make your life easier. But if you're like me and you just do things, just don't think about stuff like, double-sided tape. I do have double-sided tape, but knowing myself, I'll never use it. Then please go ahead. Another thing I found out is that every single time, if you draw on the interfacing, if you draw a line on the interfacing, it makes folding a lot easier. I don't know why, but every single time I have to fold anything, it folds easily on the drawn line. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience, but I'm one of those lazy people that I notice all these things that make my life just so much. It just falls into place easily, no stress. I don't even have to think about it. And as if you've got clips, please clip too. We might need to sort of clip the edges as we go so that everything folds nicely in place. So what I've done is I've drawn the 1 inch line, and then I've drawn half an inch line as well. So when I fold, the fold is going to be on the half an inch line, and it's going to be touching the 1 inch line itself. But please do this whichever way works for you. All we're doing is we're just turning it down. So this is where I clip a bit of the top so that I can sort of get it to sort of align properly. So just clipping within the seam allowance to make, and that's just right at the top there. We're not, make sure that you're just clipping right in within the half an inch seam, and fold down. It makes it easy to fold all the way down. Just tiny little snips just right along the edge there. Okay. And I think somewhere here we might need to do some snippings as well. And at this end as well. Okay. So when you folded it, it should be something like that. And you can see on the other side, all we've just done is we folded down the top by half an inch. So, and now the next step is we take our outer fabric, the one where we've added the foam to it, basted the foam on, and it's been sitting there for quite a while. And this, we're going to make sure we align with the bottom of our piece. So make sure you align all this boxed squares and every single thing nicely. And hold it in place with any form of either pins or clips or whatever you've got. Make sure that it's nicely aligned. Okay, almost. Take your time to make sure that it's all properly laid. Okay, and I will show you. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So we're trying to lay the overlay right down there at the bottom. And I'm going to add extra pins to mine. So please add extra pins if you really want to, just make sure it stays in place and it doesn't shift. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to top stitch around that edge that we folded down. We're going to sort of top stitch with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. So whatever the top stitch you prefer, please use that on your machine, and we're going to just top stitch to make sure that we hold it properly in place while we go on to the next steps. Now let's see if there are any questions I can answer. It's still not working. Leo, the other end of the snap closer is going to be going somewhere there. Well, either this side, I think it's that side. Yeah, it's going to be going on the overlay. So if you look at your overlay pattern, you can see that there's a mark there that says snap placement. Yeah, so I did get it right. So it's going to be going somewhere there. So we're going to be adding that to it once we've top stitch it down. We're still going to, so please grab this pattern piece, the overlay piece. We're going to need it to sort of pinpoint exactly where we need to put the fabric. Okay, so we go to the machine now and do some sewing. And like I said, remember, we're just top stitching right across there, all the way to the other side. And Leo, I hope you've already attached the other bit of your twist lock to the lining flap. I'm using a magnetic clasp, and I've already added that to the lining. So depending on what you're using, make sure that the lining, if you're using the half moon clasp, then that's different. It's going to be done at the end. But if you're using magnetic clasps and all the other sort of claspies, you will need to add, let's see, it goes. Actually, Leo, you might need to wait till the end to do that as well, because you have to do the hole and it goes in and then you twist. Yes, so the holy bit has to go into the lining, which you can do when it's all done. So Okay, so that has been top stitched into place. So as you can see, it's been top stitched into place, not falling off anymore. Removing my pins now. And if there's any excess on the sides, I've got a bit of excess on there, or any excess where it sort of overlaps or where it sort of extends past the outer fabric, just give it a quick trim. It's just going to be tiny bits and pieces anyway, so just give it a quick trim to make sure that they all match up. And only the overlay bits, you only need to trim any part of the overlay that sort of sticks out. Yeah. Yeah. And we now come to the part where we need to add the clasp. So pick up your pattern piece and you lay it on the right hand side of your bag. So this is the left hand side, which is the really tall side. On the shorter side, make sure the pattern is on there, and you want to make sure that you can pinpoint exactly where the snap is going to be. So I'm using my pencil and I've made a nice black dot there. And so what you're going to get is, if you fold your bag the way it's meant to be finished, you do that and you do that. That means that is where your bag is going to be. That is how it's going to be closed off. So just use your pattern to mark exactly where it's meant to go. And then we're going to so we're going to attach our the other part of our clasp to it. And like before, we need to do our markings, and I've lost my trusty pencil. Typical when I need it the most. I had it 2 minutes ago. Hey, where are you? Okay. Not to worry. I've already lost a pencil since Monday. This is the second one that seems to want to go walkies. I'm just trying to place now this is how I cheat. I use a pin, stick a pin right down the middle. Okay. And then we create our lovely hole. Okay. Just trying to see if there are any more comments I need to sort of reply to. Can you actually skip back on the lives? I'm not sure if you can. I've just added a bit more reinforcement, but I really don't need it, but I just added it all the same. And once you have the hole, you push that through. So remember, it's already padded and everything. It's got the foam, it's got the interface in. Seriously. There we go. And I'm just adding a bit of Decovil to it as well. So when I do take it to the iron, well, when it's all done and I iron it down, it's going to sort of together. And you can always put some masking tape right over it as well, just to make sure that it doesn't fray or anything. So as you can see, it's been affixed on there. So the outer main panel, we're now going to fold it in half. So we're getting to the home run now, as in, we're just sort of like galloping along now. Almost there, almost done. And we match the sides. And remember that the overlay is all only sewn down at the top, so make sure that it's nicely matched and it's nicely smooth, so that it doesn't form any sort of like bumps or anything when you're done. So make sure you smoothen it out properly over the edges and you pull it right through. It's nice and laying down completely flat. Okay, that looks. So we're going to start off by sewing along the bottom seam. 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, unless otherwise stated, it's always 3/8 of an inch. So 3/8 of an inch, regular sewing length. And here we go. And done. So we need to trim off any trim off some of the excess there to make life easier for us. And then you can press open as well, which I'm just going to finger press like I normally do. Please don't cut into your stitches. Just make sure that the excess foam and everything is taken care of. Okay, that looks decent. And we're going to repeat the same thing for the sides as well. So that side, we're going to sew 3/8 of an inch seam allowance all the way to the top. I'm sewing from top to bottom. And the side seam is done as well. So now we're going to box the corners, and also with 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. So like I said, open up the seam and finger press with an iron. If you've got one of those pressing thingies that you can just slip, use one of those. I don't have one, so I'm finger pressing. But if I really had to press, I would have pressed it open and I would have worked something out. But there. So 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Box, as in we do know how to box, as this is the part we want to box. So fold the seam, the bottom seam and the side seam, and make sure they meet on your stitch line. So make sure the stitch lines are well aligned on both the seam and the side, that they're touching nicely like that. And 3/4 of an, did I say 3/8? 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, not 3/4, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. And then we're going to sew all the way down. It's complaining. doesn't like that. Okay. Let us see how thick it is. It isn't thick at all. Shouldn't be complaining. Okay, where lies your problem? Trying to see where actually is really, really heavy. Let's try this one more time. It's gone through. So I don't know what it was that it didn't like earlier. Nice. So yeah, 3/8 of an inch seam allowance done, and just checking to make sure that I've answered everything. Oh my God, Deb, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not doing any lives for the next few weeks. So this live ends tomorrow, and then I'll be back with another one next month. So it's going to be every single month that I will try and have a live event of Mrs. H patterns. So on this side as well, same thing, 3/8 of an inch. This worked last time, so hopefully it should work again. And there, so the outer is done, and for today we're going to be stopping here for today because what we have left is not really that much, but I would love to spend some more time with you guys again tomorrow because we could, let me see. Yeah, we could easily finish today, but you know what? I just want to stretch it over 4 days because I just want to spend the extra time with you. So thank you so very much, everybody. And honestly, this has been fun. And I'm glad we were able to make our mistakes, learn from them, move on. And with all the technological issues we've had during this particular session, we've still been able to sort of get through the whole thing. So thank you so very much. And I shall see you tomorrow, God willing, and we'll finish off our Squiffy Sling. I have really, really enjoyed this, honestly, with all my mistakes and all the learning curves and everything. So, everybody, have a lovely evening, And be ready for the final, because I want to see everybody's pictures tomorrow. Whatever you've done, no matter what it looks, I want to see all the pictures tomorrow. So I shall be seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you so very much for your time. Have a lovely evening, everybody. Bye bye.